of a presidency in normal times, but it's just this ongoing barrage of, and people just become numb, and that's exactly how.
I find we're doing it here as well. I mean,
oh yes,
we're talking so much about gay marriage and all these things, which are very important still.
Yes,
but it means other things that might be responsible for our economy and just social welfare and all those sorts of things are not even looked at. People don't even know that they're happening.
Yeah, because they're constantly, the board's constantly being moved.
They just want them to talk about the things they want them to talk about.
Yes, talking points.
And that's it.
Yep.
And it's a
Yep.
scary
and there's
thing.
no way of being able to bring focus to the actual problems.
And then when you watch a movie like 1984, it just makes you go, oh my gosh, and this was written after World War II and then filmed in 1984 and now we're here in 2018 and it's just...
It's somewhat upsetting,
gosh.
Isn't it? Yes. And of course, I've just been fuming about this, as you can imagine, for the last week or so, sort of thing. And I was fuming about it beforehand because when I first was introduced to 1994, I was like 16 years old, sort of thing. And
are you serious?
Why?
I don't know.
I was at school, and it's very much a textbook kind of thing. I read 1984 in 1984. It can be
quite depressing and really, I don't know.
Yeah, well, it definitely changed me.
I read and watched the animated movie for Animal Farm, and can I just say it was really, it made me go, oh.
When I go my darkest, George Orwell sitting there in a banana lounge, smoking a cigar, just so, in the centre of my mind saying, oh, you're back again. He's right there at the very core. He's right down, deep down inside my psyche. And as I said, he's never got out. He's always been in there. And because the lessons are very clear in the book, and they are, and look, the movie is
Can I ask you
a
something?
very truncated version of the book.
I realise that. Just getting back to movies.
Yep.
Do you find reading the book first helpful to interpret the movie?
It's a faithful portrayal of the book. In this case, sometimes you can get a book and it makes a better movie than it does a book. Sometimes it's the opposite. It's not always the case. Like Lord of the Rings.
Because you read the book before you watched the movie.
Lord of the Rings are 3 great movies. Lord of the Rings, the book, is a very stodgy piece of literature. I'm sorry, but it goes on forever and it wanks on exponentially.
Can I say something?
What?
I'm not as big a fan of the Lord of the Rings movies. I didn't like them.
Well, I enjoyed them. Yes, I'm just saying.
And the first time I read the Lord of the Rings books, I was quite young and therefore I had difficulty with them. As an adult, I enjoyed them more.
Did you? I had difficulty with them whenever I read them. And I read them about 3 times through my life. And each time I just went, oh my God, this just goes on and on and on. But I don't know why I keep going back to it, but I tend to pick up on these big weighty tomes sort of thing. Like, I was a little precocious in my reading when I was a kid. When I was, I think I was 10 when I read War and Peace. And no child should be reading. Yeah, I didn't have friends, went to the library a lot. And I sat there and I read War and Peace, and it was like, I didn't understand 3/4 of it, and I shouldn't have read it at that stage of the game. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes you just, kids can do silly things. I went and saw Jaws when I was,
yes, I remember
7 years old. I was always trying to have new experiences, sort of thing, in that respect. So.
Okay, I had very easy childhood. I was, 10? I was reading...
we are well and truly digressing here.
Sorry, I'll shut up.
No, well, I should have shut up too.
That's weird, okay.
Yeah, but so that's what I mean. I tended to read some weird stuff, and 1984 was kind of one of those ones that probably I shouldn't have read it because he got in and he never ever let go of me. Now, some people would probably read it and it'd just go...
They get something different out of it.
Well, they might just go through one eyeball and come out the other. They may not think of it, but I tend to be a politically minded person because I'm interested in the outside world. And so, essentially I just want to know everything and I want to know it now. And I couldn't be bothered, super analysing everything because I just need to find everything out now. You know what I mean? Like you can research things to the nth degree, and at the end of your life, you've got several PhDs on, the barnacle sex life, for example. That's what I'm saying, though, whereas I just want to know about everything, I'm not saying I'm a polymath or anything like that. I just, I'm a generalist.
Which is funny because I find I'm interested in certain things, and some things I feel I have to know because it's important. And then other things just make me go, oh my gosh, and feel sick in the stomach. I'm thinking, well, do I really want to know this? But then you don't want to be sitting with your head in the sand because then you'll be helping. So
can you ask yourself, why don't you want to know about certain things? Do you feel that...
It is depressing, but the thing is, if you don't know...
Is it that risk adverseness coming out and saying, I don't want to know about this because it might upset my worldview?
Well, yes, we know that already. You know me, I like everything to be happy. But the thing is, if you're not aware of it and that you don't know that it's bloody awful...
Plausible deniability.
Well, then you can't make it better. And
no, you can't make it better.
No, but the thing is, if you at least know about it, you can work towards it.
Yes.
So I have to admit, 10 years ago...
Is it a control thing?
Pip would have just gone, oh, that was a horrible movie. Oh, man, I'm so not watching that ever again because that was just really devastating and depressing.
Whereas now
this Pip goes... Well, and that actually happens now, and we're not in that too hardcore as that, but it's heading that way if you don't keep an eye on it.
Whereas I'm all the way out the other end going, God damn it!
I'm sure I'll be there in another 20 years.
Yeah, well, if you hang around me, I'll probably be putting you through movies like that sort of thing. So
I think 1984 is still relevant, as in it's still...
terribly relevant.
But as in, it will make people go, that's depressing... But I can see aspects of it happening now. And if you're listening to other podcasts and reading other books and watching other movies and watching the news, there are little things that keep triggering.
It will never not be relevant. And the reason why, it's about control. And it's not just control of people's actions and where they're going and controlling. It's controlling their thought, their very thoughts. It's like the whole premise of it when he's saying they can't take that away from you. They can't get down and... they can.
There was that scene where he was standing there with Julia and the two of them are listening to that lady singing. They'd never heard her singing before because they don't have music there.
No.
I'm like, oh my gosh, how depressing. But anyway, I'm digressing. He goes, they can make us do this and make us think this way. He said, but love, he goes, they can never take how I feel about you away. And in the end, they did.
Yep.
To both of them.
Yep. Did it to both of them.
That's what I mean. There's no happy ending. It was...
As Richard Burton said, he made them both perfect, made their brains perfect before he blew them away. And they would have been killed several weeks after...
that's what he said he was going to do anyway.
Yes,
it was just recording them saying all the things that...
Give them a few weeks just to make sure that they don't twitch because they wanted to make sure that they... That it worked. And then they disappear.
That's what I mean. He's saying to they can't take how I feel about you away.
Yes, you
and
can.
in the end, he's going, do it to Julia.
Yep.
Don't do it to me, to Julia. And I'm thinking, well, that resonated with Gregor Fisher's character. He's going, do it to him, don't do it to me. And they take him away. I'm thinking, oh, is it that simple?
It's that simple.
Oh, my gosh.
This is a little bit of a dark thing. I think I've told you this one once before. A very evil scientist once did an experiment. Have I told you about this experiment?
There are lots of evil scientists. You need to be more specific.
Well, this one, I don't... I think it was a science... I heard this... Dave Anthony, of course, from the Dollop.
I'm only up to episode 170.
Yes. So whether or not it's true,
behind.
but it's
I'm getting there. But
yes.
Yeah.
But essentially, what they did was they put a chimp mother in because there's nothing more powerful than a maternal instinct, and they put a. Do you want me to stop now?
No, I'm trying to realise if I've heard it because there's been a few chimp stories.
Yeah, there's a chimp mother put inside a container with a metal plate on the ground with her child, with her baby, and what they did was they slowly started to turn up the heat on the floor, and they increased it. And first of all, the chimp mother, to protect the child,
see where this is going,
picked up the child and held it, And after a while, the pain got to such a point that the
mother dropped the baby
and stood on the baby to protect its own feet.
I've heard that.
Yeah. And look, at the end of the day, I'm a humanist. You know, I love humanity. I love that it has the ability to be able to do extraordinary things sometimes. But at the same time, we're big hairless apes sometimes, and we will backslide, and it's very easy to do that. And there are those people who can surpass that and will burn their feet off to protect their child, because there are those that are out there that can do that. Those people in 1984 have been picked up and taken away and executed.
Yep.
So there is only the others left, and that is the whole point of it.
Yes. There's no individuals, there's no leaders.
There's no possibility of revolt.
No. They take that away as soon as it rears its ugly head.
Yes.
It's devastating.
It's just devastating. It gives you no hope. Here's a film, Shawshank. It gives you hope.
That's what
I mean. It says you should hope, and then 1984 comes along straight after. It says no. There is no hope.
So yes, what we're suggesting is if you're a little.
Now, what we're saying, I say, we are at a point where we're going to have to start fighting soon. Not I'm talking about fighting in the streets, although it may well come to that, but I'm saying people are going to have to fight, like make sure that they vote, make sure that they are heard, protest, all of those sort of things.
If you don't have a voice,
because
you won't get heard.
You're going to have stuff taken away from you, because that's how it's going. It's ratcheting up. You're seeing fascism in Brazil. There is a guy coming in who is just about to get put in there. He's been backed by the army. And when you're being backed by the army, that's usually a bit of a red flag. It's usually a bit of a red flag. Call me crazy.
Has been in the past too. Funny that.
Past. So you've got Jakarta, or whatever his name is, over in the Philippines, who was outwardly just walking around saying that he's killing people, killing drug people, or basically anyone who disagrees with him. You've got the Saudis.
I'm a little bit surprised that... Yeah, anyway, I'm probably not surprised.
What?
Anyway, go on.
No, go on.
No, I just... Because he's being so blatant about it, that I thought other countries would,
Well, his own people, you would think that they would have something to say about it.
I think people depend on other, they go, oh, it's okay. He's saying it out loud. Someone will come and save us.
Well, this is the thing.
That's what I mean. They go, oh, it's okay. Someone will come and save us. It's okay. Don't you worry.
There's a line in 1984, because there's always a line in 1984, the book, where it says people will enslave themselves, and they will actually climb over fences in order to do so. And that's exactly what's happened in the Philippines. They installed... But there's this thing in the human psyche that they want to install a strong man to take care of the problem. And the stronger he appears and the more bombastic he is, the more people will gravitate to that personality. It doesn't matter that he...
It's killing people and just doing what he likes.
Or he's just an out-and-out criminal. But there is this weakness in the human character that just wants to go down that path.
Oh, well, a lot of people, if you're not a leader, you want to be led.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So that's
we
what I mean.
enslave ourselves. So fun times. Yes. I've been sitting about just grinding my teeth.
Oh, no, look, it's made me think. I'm thinking, what would I do?
What would you do? Okay, well...
Thing is, I'm not a leader.
No.
I don't have leadership skills. But I don't know if... I'd probably get shot in the head because I'd go, excuse me, I think it's not right. Boom.
You wouldn't get to that point. Once they get installed and once they're really rolling.
Oh, no, I'd just be shot. No one would see me ever again.
And the fear... Once it gets to look at Nazi Germany, for example.
I couldn't keep my mouth shut, but I couldn't lead people.
Yep. Now, when the Nazi Germans got in, first of all, they were democratically elected.
I know.
That's rule number one. They usually come in through the front door.
It helps.
It helps.
Gets everyone on side.
Second of all, everybody thought that they could control them. Everybody thought he was a bit of a laughing stock. Gosh, that sounds familiar to somebody else.
I didn't think it was that. It was more like, he'll be right.
We can control him. He's just a silly little man, with a funny little mustache who looks a bit like Charlie Chaplin. Bit of a mistake that. But once the